Welcome, my people, to another episode of Exclusive Visions podcast, Love, Life, and Business, where we discuss real life and real business issues that matter. In the building today, we have royalty right now, two phenomenal giants in their own right. First of all, we have the UK Prince of Pan-Africanism, the Mr. I put unity in the black community. The man who says, if you do not bounce a black pound at least 10 times, we're wasting our time. Mr. Daniel Lister. Stretch, make some noise for this big guy. Jeez. I don't know why this guy's clapping over here, because he's next. We have one of the most underrated UK rappers, one of their best kept secrets, the UK's version of Killer Mike, Mr. Chris Langaigne, a.k.a. Tubbs. That was poor. But I still love it anyway. I said, like, it's just, you know what? It's cold out here. He was riding on his scooter today. Like, forgive Stretch. But we're going to get into this right now because this is the one I've been waiting for, people. This is the podcast which I feel is going to really allow us to tackle some key issues, especially within the black community. But first of all, let the guest introduce himself. Daniel, go ahead. Let the world know who you are.
My name is Daniel Lister. I'm the founder of My Black Market.
That it?
Well, that's what I am.
A bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I'm founder of My Black Market. I also founded Buy Black Clothing. But my main business is My Black Market. My Black Market essentially supports black-owned businesses to build a black UK economy. We've been going for 7 years. Gone to a database of over 10,000 black-owned UK businesses. And the aim is to create a black UK economy by circulating our money and keeping our money within our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Tubbs.
Man like Tubbs.
That it. That's your whole intro.
What would you like to know?
Try to sound sexy, fam. This is not...
I have 4 brothers.
Uh-huh.
No, 3 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm playing with you.
Okay. I don't remember them in the house. All right, so yeah, a bit about you. So what do you do?
Chris Langaigne. I'm currently an urban A&R. I work in music. I'm just an individual who cares very much about his community.
Okay, and we're definitely going to delve into that. Definitely going to hit that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not waste no more time. Let's just get straight into this, right? And I want to start with a burning kind of, I say, not even an issue, but it's something there in the ether. And Daniel, I want you to answer this one first. Mm-hmm. Where did the whole idea of a black community really come from? I'm not talking about, okay, this group of black people come together living in the area. I'm talking about this where you see this idea of this whole homogenous type of approach where we want people to come together. We're expecting everybody who is black to come together, pull together to make something happen. Because through my research in history, I have never seen when black people have come together as one, okay, as the totality of the people itself. Never have I seen that. In Africa, there's always been different tribes everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So where does this idea come from where all the black people in America should come together to circulate the black pound and make a movement, and the same thing within the UK and I guess in other parts of Europe? Where has the idea actually come from?
I think you're putting unrealistic expectations on the black community when you say, like, no group is homogenous. Mm-hmm. No group all agrees on one thing. But the idea that the fact that you've identified a black community in your statement, you're identifying a group of people. Because the fact that you're saying it's a community, you're identifying a group of black people who are community. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what the word commune means. It means people that have things in common. So when you're saying a black community, it's about people, they might not agree on everything, but they're using a point of what they do agree on to identify themselves with. This is how we live in a system of systematic global white supremacy. It's the fact that everybody in that system, although they might be conservative, Democrat, Labour, Republican, they might believe in different things. The fact that they all agree in a system of systematic white supremacy, everybody is paying for the same system. And it's about, so even when you look at, like, for instance, if you take politics, you talk about left wing and right wing, it's about they're two wings of the same bird. They all want white supremacy, but they're just vying for their version of white supremacy. So the idea of black unity is that we we may have different views and maybe different viewpoints, but the idea is that we all come together because we identify that it's for the betterment of all of us together.
All right, Tubbs, do you honestly believe that's even possible? What he's saying, that black people can really come together to make a change? I mean, a real positive change.
Well, if you look at December 2017 in Alabama and that whole election when Doug Jones got in, it was a Republican stronghold. No one expected a black Democratic candidate to win. And what was able to get him into office was the black community galvanizing behind him and supporting him. Because, I guess the George Floyd, no, that wasn't even George Floyd, but I guess the situation at the time, murder, so on and so forth, caused those people to come together, stand up, and over 96% of the black vote was for that candidate. And he got into office. So
Okay.
I think that's an example of proactive black community.
All right, so you're talking about times, okay? I'm talking about of now, right? And I want you to think about the mentality of now. And I'm literally gonna throw things out there, and I'm gonna see what you guys actually think as well. So, looking at the times now, how things actually are. Do you believe like our mentality or the mentality of the so-called black community? Because I don't believe there is a so-called this black community people talk about, right? I believe there's people from different cultures come together, and I guess that is a form of a small community. But the one where black people come together as one to create that vision, you said, like within Alabama, or if we talk about the whole Tulsa incident where a group of people from all over America came to create a great vision within Tulsa, before it was unfortunately bombed down and stuff. But my thing is this, right? In today, 2020, has average become a new standard of excellence within the black community because of the things that we have now, that we can vote, we can go to work. The husband can go to work, so can the wife. But we no longer strive to really want to do better because we are comfortable in our current position. So has average become our new standard of excellence?
Good question. Um, when you put it like that, I guess we are settling. We've become complacent in terms of on a whole. But I think it would be ignorant to say that average has become the norm because there's still black excellence within the community and there's still people striving within the community. So I don't think you can negate that. I think on a whole, yeah, we've become complacent. But at the end of the day, we live in a society whereby we've taken on board the culture of different people. So if we've taken on board someone's cultural norms, ways of doing things, so on and so forth, we're striving for that model of success. So we were all, in general, we're all striving for that nice house, nice car, 2.4 kids. And you reach that and you think, okay, cool, I'm all right.
All right,
And that's the reality of it.
okay.
I would agree and disagree. So I would agree to the point where you're saying that we have taken on other people's cultures. But I don't agree that the standard is average. I think the standard in the black community is actually degeneracy. I think the culture of black people now is, dictated by, the Cardi B's, the Nicki Minaj's, the Megan Thee Stallions, and everything seems to be about, um, sex and money. That's basically what it is. Like all the men are kind of basically doing anything for sex. Like there's no morals, there's no discipline, and there's this kind of a rise of the simpish male, or the black man that's not really standing up for masculinity. And it's a point where we're at a point where the black man will pander to do anything just to kind of get some vagina from a woman. And the culture for women now is just prostitution. It's doing anything for money. OnlyFans is rising now, and it's the excuses anyone can go on OnlyFans now, and it's kind of the cultural, and it's all talk about getting money for sex and all of these type of things. And I think when your standard is sex and money, there are no kind of high moral values within the community. There's no pushing for excellence. So I would say that's the kind of general kind of values within the system. Now, having said that, there is a section of the community that has been very interested in entrepreneurship, and kind of talk about buying black and building own and black banking. And so there is a kind of, there's a separation or a divergence of, consciousness within the community. I think 2020 has been a very interesting year because there's been various different incidents that's happened, from, the corona to George Floyd and to other things that's been happening. And it's kind of, separated the community to the point where it's given situations, opportunities for people to kind of declare where they stand and what position they have. So like the whole Black Lives Matter movement, when that came, it kind of gave people an opportunity to say what they're with and what they're not with, and it kind of let people identify themselves, rather than this kind of mundane monotony where everybody's kind of going forward and nobody really knows who's doing what and who's standing for what, and etc. So I think that there's definitely degeneracy, but there's also the opposite of that: people that are opposed to this degeneracy and are pushing for excellence.
Okay, so you said quite a few great points there. I want to like put on right now, and let's go to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. How has that really, and I'm talking about really, helped the black community? And I need to stop saying the black community because, as I said, unless someone could actually show me what the black community and really define it for me, but just for argument's sake, right now, how has it really helped black people really progress and move forward? I know they got. I saw the research; they got millions.
Mm.
Okay, from
Billions.
just this year, from
Billions.
billion just this year, just this year,
5
right?
billion this year.
Yeah, just this year. Okay, they got billions,
Mm.
right? How I haven't seen where that money has actually gone and how it's really impacted us. I know we love a march, but I haven't seen change. Where and how has the black movement really made a difference in the black community? You can go first.
There's no agenda. Like Black Lives Matter it's a slogan, you know. Ooh, let's put up a hashtag. Let's post on social media. It's a nonsense. It's a fallacy. It's like, let's go and march without an agenda behind our march. Let's go and say to these people, we're going to make noise, we're going to smash things, we're going to break things, but we don't actually know what we want. We don't actually know why we're here. There's no agenda. So to me, it's all well and good. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that it brought people together as a movement. Whether I like it or not, 26 million people in the States in June were marching and so on and so forth in the streets of London. Same time, you had hundreds of thousands of people doing the same thing. And I think that if you could move that or build that community into something with an agenda, with a strategy, with a plan, then maybe it could do something for the community. But as it stands, it's a joke.
£5 billion, yeah? That's how much was brought in this year.
Yeah, but not just to Black Lives Matter, that's to all racial equity groups.
Yeah, all racial equity groups, okay? Where can anyone tell me how this has actually impacted our community for the better? Anywhere. Like, if anyone can actually show me this, like, I'm happy to be enlightened. But I'm saying that, like, I've seen these movements so many times where we make noise, but there's no impact. There's no legacy. There's nothing really behind, there's no substance to what we're doing. And I think that's that lack of vision and direction, which is just like, it's just so tedious now to watch. Because I believe I was talking to, I was either talking to George or I was talking to you.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you early this year, if, I can't remember if it was in June or whenever it was happening. And I said, if we have that same energy come August and we're actually making a difference, cool, I will back this all day. And I sat down and I was patient. And come end of July, like everything just stopped. It was quiet. Something else came up. Something else was a new fad at the moment. And I was thinking, in September, where's that energy? Where's all this movement right now?
Come on now, Cardi B put out WAP. Come on now, what do you mean? What are we moving for? Yo! Did you see the back in the video? Jeez. No, seriously.
I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, exactly to kind of tag on to what you said about ideology. We're living in a system of global white supremacy, and we are oppressed in every asset and facet of life. And to think that that they wouldn't try to control us, even in their appearance of trying to repair their damage, it would be a falsehood. So when we're looking at ideology, um, if you do, Kwame Ture had a famous speech talking about the difference between organization and mobilization. And Omowale Africa had a good speech about the difference between emotion and emotion and moving under emotion and moving under ideology. And the issue is that when these issues happen, people react and respond emotionally, and they don't act over out of ideology. Or there's no real main like they're not reacting with an end goal in mind. It's just about reacting. It's very easy to mobilize people on emotion, but it's difficult to then turn that mobilization into organization. And what we found with the Black Lives Matter movement, it came about after the whole Ferguson incident. And Ferguson came about because there was a lot of grassroots activists within the Black community that organized the protests and the rallies and different things along those lines. I think it was a brother called Darren Seals who subsequently got murdered, that actually kind of pushed these things forward. But what you noticed, once the mainstream society saw that the whole kind of Ferguson movement started gaining momentum, they used these what they call NGOs or non-governmental organizations. They started funding these people. So all of a sudden, you've got these leaders like DeRay Davis and all of these Nessa and all of these different people that none of the communities have ever heard of. But all of a sudden, the dominant society is propping them up as the Black leaders for the community. So these people have co-opted these grassroots movements to then put together this whole Black Lives Matter movement. And when you look at the whole Black Lives Matter movement, themselves on their website have told you that it's this movement is not about Black people. Black Lives Matter is about LGBT and gay issues. They've said on their on website, on their about section, they said that their whole thing is about making a space for transgender people. And even their whole narrative even speaks about cutting out the Black man. Like there's no mention of Black. They talk about
the Black man at
yeah,
all.
they talk about Black families minus the Black man, and they talk about gay Black men. That's the only Black men that they like is gay Black men. And they say this literally, Black trans is literally written in writing that this is what their agendas are.
So right now,
Go on the website.
They changed it as of about 3 weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago. So they've changed it, but I've got screenshots of it. I mean, you can Google it on YouTube, and there's people reading through the website and telling you exactly what it is. So, when you look at these organizations, as I said, even in the look of repair of what the damage has been done to us, they're always trying to find an angle to kind of co-opt it. And when you look at the angles that they co-opt the Black movements, LGBT is one of the main things that they have. So it goes from Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter or All Black Lives Matter or Trans Lives Matter. And then before you know it, we're talking about LGBT issues. Then the conversation transfers to, well, Black people are also homophobic too. And then we have a whole way, we move away from the idea that Black people are the victims and now Black people are the aggressors and that whole thing. Then we also see another thing that they use to move away from it is the whole Jewish kind of side of things. We saw that with Nick Cannon, where Nick Cannon was speaking about our things that have happened to us, and then all of a sudden the conversation goes to anti-Semitism. Same thing happened with Wiley over here. That was another distraction that they used over here.
Shout out Nick Cannon.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying? And then the third thing that they always use is the feminism thing, where it becomes about Breonna Taylor, and then it's, oh, well, Black women are so unprotected, and then you get the Megan Thee Stallions, and all of these things are used to distract away from the idea that, Black people are the people that need repair and need focus on. So a lot of these movements are used to kind of disseminate the energy that's focused on Black people to other different movements and different organizations. And this is why we can't gain momentum, because there's no ideology behind it in moving forward. And even when you look at the term, Black Lives Matter, we've gone from Black Power to, well, just Black Lives Matter, at least. It's like even the statement itself is very submissive. It's like, who are you trying to appeal to when you say Black Lives Matter? When we even look at the slogans we're begging. Even when you look at the slogans that we use, hands up, don't shoot, and people laying on the ground, and
not me, brethren.
All of this is submissive behavior. So all of this is conditioning people to become submissive to the system. So, the Black Lives Matter movement is very problematic. But to answer your question, has there been any good? I guess there's been some consciousness of people being aware of kind of black issues and different things. So there's been a certain energy of people kind of moving towards like trying to even speak about black issues a bit more. I've been running my black market for 7 years, so I've been around since, the Mike Browns and all of these high profile different incidents. And I noticed that we get an influx of attention and energy while these things happen. But these things are very temporary. People get emotional, and then once the emotion dies down, again, we go back to Cardi B's and our WAPs, and people are not interested. I mean, I heard literally a couple of weeks in, I heard black people saying, "Oh, can we get off this Black Lives Matter thing and can we get back to normal?" So for a lot of us, as I said, 2020 has been an interesting year because these issues have differentiated people. Some people are comfortable with the status quo. Some people are comfortable with oppression. And these things kind of separate us. We kind of think that, this idea that on the slave plantation, all of us would have fought to get loose. No, a lot of people actually enjoyed the slave plantation. And we're seeing it now, like a lot of people enjoy the slumming and the lack of responsibility and the lack of direction. So I think, as these incidents start popping up, it kind of differentiates what people's character really is and what their agenda is.
And I totally agree with some of the things you're saying. And right now, you're dropping golden nuggets. But it goes back to my earlier question: has average become our new standard of excellence? And I do believe, in some part, we have this lackadaisy attitude towards certain parts of our growth, and I guess taking ourselves from where we are to where I believe a lot of us can be from the African and Caribbean community. I don't feel that we are putting in the energy, and I don't feel that we have that focus and vision right now to really make a difference. And I'm gonna hit you with another question though, okay, on top of that real quick. Actually, no, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? Because you're a guess.
I was gonna say that, if you look at any group, not the total whole sum of every group is.
But they have a foundation though.
What does that mean? Like
they have structure.
The foundation is
they have structure
of white supremacy. That is the foundation.
But they have they have financial structure. They have educational institutions. They
but
have
that's not the whole group.
Monopolies.
Yeah, but they have things in place to look after the whole though.
Right, but that comes from a system of systematic white supremacy, right? So every group benefits. So the planet is set up against us. But even when you're saying that, you're saying that like there is not degeneracy in all cultures and all groups.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. Don't act like a lawyer in front of me. I don't know words in my mouth, yo. But I know what I'm saying. I'm definitely not saying
you're putting
that.
The expectation on the black community to be different to like the expectation that you're putting on us is
we should be doing better. 100%. Are you?
Of course, no.
We should be doing much better.
It's not realistic to expect the whole group.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So you're telling me right now, right? Like people like us, okay. I'm not talking about the Windrush. I'm talking before the Windrush and all that stuff. Are you telling me right now, as people from African and Caribbean communities, we should not be doing better? Like across all the boards. I'm talking about education.
Can I just say that?
I'm talking about within schools.
Can I just say that in education, Nigerians are winning?
Go on.
You're not mic'd, though. You want to speak to the mic?
George, go on. Yeah, go on.
Okay.
This is George, people.
He's right, because it's not just Tulsa that has happened. Over the years, there's been so many communities that were established. Even Central Park. There's a part in Central Park. There was a community by black people.
Seneca Village, it was called.
Which then got bulldozed as well. And there's been so many over the years that people haven't heard of. That basically everything was established, got taken down. Everything got established. So it's not that black people haven't tried. They have it. And they've even succeeded, like basically flourished. But then, as you said, white supremacy comes, white ban comes, and bulldozed it down to the point people are thinking, you know what?
It's being tried again as we speak.
I mean, it's ironic. It's ironic that we're. Can I reveal the location of the studio?
Of course you can.
Okay, so it's ironic that we're in Dalston because have you ever heard of a company people called Dyke and Dryden?
No.
Yes.
So Dyke and Dryden, so basically Dyke and Dryden were the first black UK millionaires, and they had basically.
The hair shop people.
Yeah, they had a hair empire, and they manufactured their own products. And they went through all issues of even trying to just manufacture combs and things like that. They're actually the ones that founded the Afro Hair and Beauty Show that used to be at Alexandra Palaces now in Angel. But ironically, why I said we were in Dawson, they actually set up. They had a shop in Dawson in Dawson Market. which was flourishing. And just to show you, as George said about how the white supremacy works, when they was shown that they were succeeding, the actual council actually said that so all of a sudden now we want to build a train station, and we want to build a train station right where the site of your shop is. So Dyke and Dryden went through a whole kind of legal case trying to fight the council, because the council wanted to bulldoze their particular shop to say that this is where we want to build a train station. And we find that with a lot of our communities, whenever we start flourishing, the first thing they'll do, they'll build like a motorway or like a freeway through it. So this is a constant thing. People like to talk about slavery as if slavery was an incident that happened 400 years ago and now everybody is just equal and free. No, white supremacy has just changed its the way in which it works. Like I said, now slavery is kind of moved into more of a capitalistic type of system, and now they oppress us systematically through economics.
Okay. Do you want to add to this?
No, thank you.
Okay,
You said
cool.
everything I needed to
So-
be said.
From what you're saying right now, right? And I'm listening to what you're saying. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, are we waiting from people from African and Caribbean diaspora? And I know, as you said earlier, Nigerians are doing very, very well in education, okay, which is true. But from the African diaspora, are we waiting for a savior like Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey to come through and lead the way, set the vision, so we can actually do better now and rebuild? Because I see for myself, right? Your boy, not mine, your boy, Dr. Umar Johnson, right?
Hey, my boy.
Yes, your boy, okay?
Well, me and him are cool, but,
as I said, yeah, you wrote him bare emails and he never got back to you, like so many other people.
I don't know about that. I don't know where that story came from, but yeah.
But people like that, okay, Brother Polite or Pharaoh, I seen these guys who like are great on the altar. Like, I call them pimp pastors, right? They're great up there. They sound great orators, and people flock towards them. And people invested in Umar Johnson's magical school. They wanted to see these things happen, but it was, as long as someone was there leading them like a shepherd and sheeps, it was okay. But the fact that there's no Marcus Garvey right now, there isn't a Malcolm X or a what's the other guy? MLK, Martin Luther King, right? There ain't no savior at this present time and moment. Do you feel okay that we are waiting for someone to come and step up and lead by example? Any one of you?
Yeah, when you look at other groups, other groups don't have who's the leader of white people, who's the leader of Asian people, who's the leader of other groups, like who's the leader of Arab people. They don't have any leaders. But it's always expected that we're supposed to have a leader. The leader in our community is supposed to be the ideology or the code. We're supposed to operate under a code of conduct. It's like, as I said, when you're going back to white supremacy is a code amongst people. Like, white people don't sit down amongst each other and necessarily discuss, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. These are things that are installed in them and they understand as a people. So whether it's, the police officers beating people or, Karen's calling the police on black people, everybody is working for the same ideology, which is white supremacy. When you talk about, are we waiting for a leader? Yes. This is kind of like, again, going back to white supremacy is not just a physical thing where it was whips and chains and where it's an economic thing. It was also a mental thing. So, is it Bob Marley says, release yourself from mental slavery? It was about, a lot of it is mental. So a lot of our community has got into this habit of, when we go to church and having the pastor preaching and all people do is sit back and, the pastors are going to save us, or, Malcolm X is going to save us, or Martin Luther King. We're always kind of looking for this savior, and especially this white savior. And I think that whole idea is wrong. We are the help that we are looking for. So I agree that the fact that we are looking for a savior is wrong, and the idea is that we're supposed to build a code, that we all work towards this code and we all improve each other.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's very simple. Gender, ideology, codes, culture. I believe we're just suffering from not having one. We don't have, if we look at any of the communities that you mentioned, they have things that unify them. So whether that be religion, and their religious ideology, and then as a result of that, your Muslim brother will say to you, "What you're doing there is haram, brother." You know, you'll get exited out of the group. We don't have any standards as a community. So, for example, when you see me doing certain things as my brother, you'll hit me up and say, "Bro, you can't do that. Like, we don't move like that. Do better than that," so on and so forth. But that is not a standard within the community. And until you standardize forms of behavior, so on and so forth, everyone's not going to be pulling in a different direction. Goes back to the fact that we're all sharing other people's cultures. So you might be LGBT, you might be the trans movement, you might be people that think they're clouds, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, we're all pulling, as my brother said, in different directions, and it's by design. So for me, I think for people like us, it's about talking, sharing information and knowledge. But I think it's about education for the community and just having some standardized norms for our youth coming up.
And also, I'd say, like, part of that is the removal of, the black man from the family. So when you look at the black man, the black male is supposed to be the leadership of the family. He's supposed to be like the guidance, the rules, and the regulations of the family. There's been like a heavy agenda to remove the black man from the family. So when you're looking at slavery, there was a thing called butt breaking, where they would intentionally, um, undermine the black men in front of their family. Like, so they would basically put him in front of the whole, like, they'd take the strongest black man and they would sodomize him in front of the whole group, and they would do various different things just to kind of
Sodomizing, you mean like hit him from the back.
I don't know what they do in their movements. I don't know.
When you say sodomizing, so I was going to make sure that we're on the same page.
LGBT Dean,
Prison breaking him.
Guess who crept you through the back door?
Okay. We should be laughing about that.
So basically, this is what they would do to basically undermine the leadership in black men, and there's been a constant agenda, even like, again, going back to the whole culture and the code that we're talking about. It says, "I don't need no man, independent," IENDEPEN. I don't know how to spell it, but independent and all of these things. So when we do these type of things, when you move the male from the house, then it removes the kind of the leadership and that kind of male guidance, that kind of set rules and set boundaries. Males are very logical, while females are very emotional. So the male aspect of being like logical, like, keeps that guidance, and you kind of see the statistics when you remove the male guidance from the house, what it kind of does to the children and kind of the direction that we end up going in. So I think, the ideology and that enforcement from the community, we're supposed to have leadership within the house. It's not supposed to be one leader. It's supposed to be every family is supposed to have that kind of guidance that kind of keeps us on track and keeps us straight.
Why do you think, right now, touching upon what he's saying, men not being in a household, men may not be even feeling valued to be in a household, why do you think that's happening?
The welfare state, feminism.
What do you mean by feminism?
Empowerment of women. For me, all right, so for me, feminism is not really, it's not a black issue. It's the white woman's issue with her man. Fair or not fair, right? Because as black men, we are not the patriarchy. We haven't been in a position of power. We got freedom the same time our women got freedom. So what are you standing up against? Who are you rising up against? Don't bring that in my house, right? So, for example, I always use this little analogy, Bonnie and Clyde, right? So, for example, you've got Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde, they've been running around, raping and pillaging, murdering, doing everything together. Now, Bonnie and Clyde, they're the white man and the white woman, right? So they've been running around, cool. They've decided, all right, you know what? Let's leave Keisha and Jordan, right, in their house. We've taken everything we want to take from them. Cool, no worries. But then Bonnie says to Clyde, you know what, Clyde? From everything we stole, you didn't give me enough. I want a bit more. I don't think you treat me fair, right? And so Clyde says to Bonnie, woman, shut your mouth. Play your position. I built all of this for you. So they're having their own struggles. So Bonnie thinks, all right, you know what? I need numbers. Who am I going to go and get? And what am I going to do? Bonnie comes to get Keisha. And she says to Keisha, you know what, sister? We're women. Girl power. Stand with me. And what happens? Keisha goes with Bunny. She doesn't stand with Jordan. She leaves him to fight by himself. And that's what's happened to our whole community.
Okay, so that was a great analogy, by the way. I was actually engrossed in the whole story. I was thinking, bro, like, what's going to be happening?
The movie script, special effects.
Okay,
Michael Bay, man.
Yeah. All right. So, how do you think that has impacted the black household in that way? Where
Power dynamics.
Mhm.
So, for example, regardless, my woman could earn more than me. She cannot speak to me a certain way because she earns more than me. You don't manage me. I'm the man of the house, and you'll talk to me as such. The
But
problem
does that
is,
structure even exist today, though?
it doesn't. Because
But is it supposed to even exist today?
when you say supposed to even exist, so is there not supposed to
Like,
be
you're the man of the
masculine
house.
energy?
What does that actually mean?
So you have responsibilities
Okay.
as a man of the house. Like, you see, the thing is, right, people get carried away when you make statements like the man of the house, so on and so forth. As the man, you're the protector, you're the provider of that family. Like, there's responsibilities. It's not just when I get home, bitch, pardon my French, have my dinner on the table.
Mhm.
If you don't have my dinner on the table, we got problems. It's not that straightforward. It's not that archaic, that's a few generations ago. But at the end of the day, there still needs to be structure. As Daniel clearly said.
Like when you look at feminism again is just white supremacy in a different form. So when feminism came from white supremacy, it's basically another angle to attack. So the ultimate aim of white supremacy is to attack the black man, because you always find, like, in war, it's always the male that they will attack, and then they will generally with the females, they will generally enslave them or kind of absorb them into their group. There's always the man that's the warrior that is always the kind of issue and the problem. So the idea of white supremacy is one of the arms of it is to turn the black woman against the black man. So when you're looking at feminism, it's white supremacy through females, and just to attach to what the brother said, like this idea that a lot of sisters are taking on with this kind of whole black feminism thing. It's an oxymoron, because you can't have black feminism, because feminism, as the brother said, is not a black issue. It's a white issue. The idea of feminism is that the man oppresses the woman, but with the black woman is like the black man is not oppressing the black woman, because the black man does not own and control anything. So how are we oppressing it if we're not in control? And it kind of goes into this whole narrative of intersectionality, and it got kind of speaks back to what I was saying earlier about this whole kind of cowardice in our community of people trying to, get out of the fight and the struggle that they need to do to improve the community. Everybody's kind of looking for the easy way out. When you look at intersectionality is like saying, well, I'm a black woman. So if I was to say, like, well, I'm a black man, but I'm a black man that's 6'2", and I'm light skinned, and I'm from North London, and just say it's you, brother. Just say you want resources and things for you. So you know what I'm saying? By the time we whittle it down to all the different to the different groups, you're basically saying,
silly, yeah.
I want stuff for me. I'm not about the group. I'm trying to find an angle for where I can get my own
I
kind.
wanna win.
I want to win. So I'm not about group. I'm making it look like it's righteous and we're about a cause, but really I want something for me. So I'm going to narrow down the categories enough to the point that I can actually get something. So so the whole idea of turning the black man against the black woman against the black man has come through this feminism. Even when you look at again, going back to what the brothers, to touch on what the brothers said, like the whole idea of this kind of thing came in from the government. So the woman by her nature is a follower by nature. So she's going to be following someone. So she's not following her man. She's going to be following, the white man, which is essentially the government. What the kind of tactics that they use in white supremacy was, this idea that, if you get the black man out of the house, they essentially become your man. So if you become a single mother, we will now start giving you money. We'll give you benefits. We'll give you child benefits. We'll give you housing. Everybody knows that if you're a single mom, you'll get housing. Also, like, if you go for a custody battle, we'll give you the child. So there's all of this idea of, the black woman has moved away from being on the side of the black man and moved to the side of being on the government or the white man. And they kind of work in concert against the black man to basically destroy the black family. And what you're seeing now is the kind of generation of males that are being brought up now with no masculinity within the household. It's a very feminist or a very feminine type of masculinity. It's very beta male, and it's kind of the whole idea again is to remove that masculinity from the black household. So there's the idea that any type of masculinity is toxic now. That's what toxic masculinity means. It's just basically masculinity. And we're looking at a situation now where, you know, the community is not used to hearing black males talk or speak in a thing of authority or any kind of respect of black masculinity. And it's interesting because we've had like two incidents recently with the two Kevins. There was Kevin Kelly and there was Kevin Samuels. So I don't know if people are aware. So Kevin Kelly was basically a very successful black man. I think he's actually a lawyer, and he also opened up a restaurant called Truth Kitchen and Cocktails. And this is in America. And he's basically a black man, is very successful. He had made like a classy black restaurant. And black women came in there and they started twerking on his glass table
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
and all
I
of
saw
these
that.
things. And
Yeah.
like he kind of came over to them and said, you know, please, you know, can you not twerk on the glass tables? Basically, he basically pleaded with them, please. Went away. They started doing it again. He came back again, said to them, please, can you not do that? Went away, they did it again. So eventually got to the point where he had to just kind of like lock off the music and tell them, listen, I'm trying to do something nice for black people. I'm trying to, do something that is kind of classy for us. And you're kind of basically keep bringing down the tone with twerking, it's twerking everywhere. So can you get the hell out of my restaurant? He didn't say hell, he said, fuck. I can swear on your podcast. Yeah. He said, get the fuck out of my restaurant. I don't really need your patronism. And the whole community was out in outrage. And the thing is, he was right. You know, he's his restaurant, and he don't want to bring down the tone. And people don't want people shaking their stunk ass next to my food. You get me? Man's eating a plate of curry goat or something, and then I got batty flaps going around next to my food. You know what I'm saying? But I think the whole idea is that, you know, we're not used to hearing black men in a position of power, and we don't respect the black man. We see a black man in a position of leadership. He owns his own restaurant. He's a leader, but it's the whole idea of, even though it's his restaurant, I'm going to twerk and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. The second instance was recently with Kevin Samuels, which was there's an interview going around where he has a call-in show on the internet, and basically the headline of the call was basically Kevin Samuels says this woman is average and she's gonna die alone. Average at best, she's gonna die alone. And the issue was like, again, he just spoke to the woman which basically
He's a coach, right?
Well, he's a image consultant.
Yeah, okay,
That's what
yeah.
he is. But through his kind of time as an image consultant, it kind of led into dating, because a lot of people wanted to improve their image to get dates and get
Was
married.
the one when he
and
took that single mother?
There's been a
She
few,
was a single mother.
there's been a few different
She
clips,
was
but
a single mother.
there's one that come across recently, and basically, long story short, she rated herself as average, and he said, if average people get average people, which is just a logical statement. But I think a lot of people were outraged about what he said to her. And because we live in a feminist society, this idea that you've always got to pander to women, or you always got to kind of kiss their ass, and you can't really tell them the truth and all these things. And like the whole kind of consensus is with Kevin Samuels that he told her the truth, but he said it in a bad way, or it's the way he said it. And I think it's just the whole idea that the fact that you've got a straight black man giving direction and guidance is something that we're not used to within the community. Whenever we see black men propped up, they're never in a kind of leadership role. Even when you look at like films and TV, the black male is always, even not even the black male, just the man alone is usually shown as a buffoon. Like we look at Homer Simpson and people like that. It's the kind of ideology. Or if they're like black men.
Sorry, Homer Simpson's not black.
Yeah, I said not black male. I said male in general. When you
look at,
when you look at obviously you're right. But like even like when you look at black men, the type of black men that they like are, you know, moist LGBT black men. You know what I'm saying? It's either black man's got to be in a dress if he's kind of doing anything, or they like Little Nas X. They want every black man to be Little Nas X. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's this idea of bringing a culture of removing black masculinity from basically society. And anytime like a black man tries to stand up and take that leadership position within the community and give guidance and structure, it's received very badly.
Okay, so from what you're saying, I'm just going to throw something out there, right? And I want you to answer this first. Has the elevation of black women been detrimental in the black family?
I think if you take the mother out of the home, the children suffer. So in the black woman being empowered, given that home, given that money monthly, so on and so forth, given the opportunity for free study, she becomes empowered. She gets better jobs, so on and so forth. she wants the things that come with that, nicer things, so on and so forth. She goes out to work, spends less time with her children. There's an impact to that. So if we look at the community right now, let's say, and I don't agree with these stats, but that's what I was able to find. 24% of
Yeah, I found. I don't. Yeah,
I think it's
24%.
more, I think it's higher than that. But they say 24% of
Black households.
black homes are single parent homes, right? I think it's a higher proportion than that, but cool, 24%. Now, at the end of the day, if you've got such and a lot, the majority of those are single mothers, and if you've got such a large proportion of single mothers, and the figures are saying that a large proportion of these people end up committing crimes or some form of exhibit some form of degeneracy, there has to be an argument that taking a woman out of the home or empowering the woman has had a negative effect or a negative impact. I don't know another community, right? Let me get started. I don't know another community whereby the women are put as the figurehead. Show me one. Name one community where the women run it. Name one successful community. No one can. So what's been happening to the black man? He's right. Our image has been completely destroyed. You've taken us away from the leadership position of our community, given it to our women. And I hate to say this, sisters, because I love you, but you're not doing a good job. So at the end of the day, something does have to give.
All right. So from what you're saying, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You're saying black women can't be good leaders, or are not capable of being black, are not or shouldn't really be leading within the black community.
I'm saying that to fight for a community, to stand for a community in a war, it's going to be the man that's going to be on the front line. Like, the white man is not the figurehead of his community. The Chinese man is not the figurehead of his community. The Asian man. So why is it an issue for me to make a statement like the black man should be the head of his community? Why is that a problem? Why is that threatening to anybody?
All right. I just want to make sure because right now I feel like I am walking on flipping
thin ice.
Living thin ice.
I'm not saying.
There's a bomb right there.
Hold on. Let me just clarify. Right, I'm not saying that black women can't lead. Right, I've had jobs before where my managers have been black females, and the best managers I've had have been black females. In all honesty, right. So I'm not saying that a woman can't lead, but I'm saying there's a massive difference between leading a home and being my manager at work.
Okay, so where does accountability come from then when someone like, and I'm going to throw this out there, like there are some people who, like for me personally, before they have children, should actually go and seek help first, right? To really unlearn some past traumas and things like
definitely.
that. And then start a family with someone. But I feel I've seen too many people, dysfunctional people, get together and raise dysfunctional kids, right? When do we start taking accountability for things like that?
How do you mean? As in the men?
Yeah, the men, the women. Who should really be starting that? Who should really be saying, okay, you know what? Before we jump into a relationship, let's get ourselves right first.
I think it's. Do you know what? It's interesting. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she's from Zambia. Don't quote me. And she was telling me about the fact that she was going to be getting married and so on and so forth. And she goes through certain rites with her grandma. Her grandma will be teaching her things, even down to positions she's supposed to take in the bedroom and so on and so forth, right? And to me, it seems like we've lost that. Because we're so interested in taking on board everyone else's culture, nobody sits down with black children and says to them, this is how things need to be. This is how we do things. This is how we are. This is what you're about. This is your position in the grand scheme of life, so on and so forth. So you don't educate these children. You don't tell them who they are, who they're supposed to be. You let society educate them, a society that doesn't like you and your people. And then they hit adulthood and you blame them. It's nonsense.
Well, I would say, the empowerment of the black woman is good. I mean, any type of empowerment of black people is good. But again, this goes back to, code of conduct and ideology. Like, what are you empowering someone to do? Like, you can't just, like, even when you say empowerment, you empower somebody to do something. I mean, all of this empowerment that the black women have received, has the black community moved forward? Has the black community improved? No, because the empowerment has come from the system of white supremacy. Again, it's agendaized, if that's a word. to utilize the black woman against the black man. So it's like I'm going to empower you against the black man instead of empower you with the black man. And I mean, even as you said, you feel like a bomb's about to drop. You feel like you walk on eggshells. Like just like in this current climate of society where we're in, just for a black man to say he wants to be a leader of his own home, is like, ooh, it's a bit, we shouldn't be feeling like that. And as the brother said, other communities, the black male is a leadership. It's only our community where the woman is the leader and proud of it. That's dysfunction. Like the woman in her nature doesn't want to be the leader. A woman wants to be a follower. She's a follower by nature. She's the black woman is, not even a black woman. Women by nature always say that they want a leader. Like leadership is part of masculinity. So the fact that, you know, you don't want people to be in their rightful position, that's disorder and that's chaos. So I think a lot of this is a lot of it coming back down to like ego and people getting into their feelings, and it doesn't sound right, and I feel bad about saying the black man is the leader, and all of this feeling goes back to the whole kind of feminine energy that surrounds our community and our families. The logical thing, which is a masculine thing, is to say that the black man is the leader.
All right, cool. So I'm more about literally solutions more than anything else. And today, like to me personally, this is like been like we need to have this every single week. But I'm not a talking person. I'm more of an action, putting something together, making things happen, right? So I've got some solutions. I know that I'm not just talking about, I'm putting into practice as well, in certain things that I'm doing. So I've created Exclusive Visions Tribe, and we've got great like-minded individuals coming on board and who want to do better. And those are the people I love, I'm giving my attention to. So I said from next year, if you're not part of my tribe, I'm not talking to you. Like I've got time only for my people. So, and if you're not, like I said, the tribe, Exclusive Vision Tribe, this is like branding that,
Placement.
yeah, all of that stuff. So, just looking at where we are as a people, right? The Caribbean African diaspora. I feel there's four things for me that before we can have a financial revolution, before we can have an educational revolution, before we can have any type of revolution, the first one that we've got to have is an internal revolution. So I feel that we have to unlearn a lot of our past traumas, a lot of our stuff that's been passed down through us through different generations, and really get to grips of the stuff that we don't talk about. Like, really stop. Like, let's literally empty that closet. Our closet must be so full right now. And I really feel that we need to literally just let it all go, because you can't grasp onto the future if you keep holding on to the past. So I feel uncovering our past issues, making sure that we take ourselves through whatever it is, if it's counseling, therapy, whatever we need to do, going to different groups and allowing ourselves to heal from the past traumas that has happened to us. That to me is the first thing that we need to do. The next, after we've done the healing and we're on that pathway of doing better, is then to invest in ourselves, to really understand what is that, what is it that we're supposed to be doing on this earth? What is our purpose? And I'm talking about for that individual to really find and hone into that, to really make that difference within themselves. So probably going back and doing an education, probably joining groups, like going onto Eventbrite, Meetup, and things like that, and broaden your mind to new horizons so you can tap into what you want to be doing. And then once you've done that, number three is develop your own financial position. We haven't really been taught how to financially grow, and I think it's from Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said it the best, right? If you teach a man how to fish, you'll feed him for a day. If you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, he'll be able to feed himself and his family. But if you teach a man how to buy the pond, he will then be able to leave a legacy. And that's what I feel we need to start thinking about, elevating our financial position to a point where there's a legacies in place now. 'Cause I don't think there's any legacy agenda in our financial position. And that to me, okay, is especially in 2020, we can't do that. Like just taking out a will or taking out life insurance. Okay, so if you die, your family has something, okay, after you have passed away, even if you have no savings, but at least you have a life insurance. Put the basics in place. So things like that. And then finally for me is really tapping into your purpose again, like finding that value of who you are and really strengthening it, getting a return on your investment from the purpose and your value that you have. For me, when people say, "Oh, when you're starting a job, start from your passion." No, no, shut up. Now, seriously, stop that. Right? Literally, find what your purpose is. Right? And from your purpose, you'll find exactly what you can be doing to be of value to other people and to yourself that will make you money and other people money. Because yeah, you might be passionate about skydiving and that's your thing, but you're not gonna be making money from just skydiving, right? But your purpose is okay, you may be a fantastic artist or a fantastic dentist. Be that. Be the best what you can be, and then everything else will follow. So those are my four things, okay, which I feel as the African diaspora, we should focus on to have that direction, to have that vision, to start somewhere. What's your thoughts, sir?
For me, I think I agree, but I think that's very individual.
Okay.
Um, I think collectively, when you go through trauma and you're suffering PTSD, which we are, um, you do need some sort
PTSD being
of post-traumatic stress
okay.
disorder.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. Oh, sorry. Right
Mm.
now, at the end of the day, when you're suffering a disorder like that, yeah, you do need to seek counselling and so on and so forth. The issue is though, right? We're in the real world and we're competing right now. So for me, I think it's all well and good, but if I, for example, just take me for example, you unpack certain things
Mm.
and it can lead elsewhere and it can lead elsewhere and it can lead elsewhere. In the meantime, you still got bills to pay. You still got family to take care of. You still got so on and so. So I think sometimes some of these ideas we have, I think they're beautiful, but in terms of practice, how achievable are they? Whereas for me, I think it starts with education with the youth, so on and so forth. Just trying to empower black children, teaching them about community, making them love each other, so on and so forth. Little things like that, because and then coming together as a collective to have real frank discussions, because you go through a trauma, slavery, colonialism, so on and so forth, and you don't actually sit down at the end of that when you're given your supposed freedom and say, all right, cool, this is who we're going to be. This is who we are going forward. This is our ideology. This is where we're trying to get to. You don't actually have that discussion, that you're just thrown into the world. Your children grow up being educated by the same people who subjugated them. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay.
So let's take accountability and make some real change.
I mean, I agree with what you said about getting therapy. Is something that we definitely need as a community. It's PTSD, but there's also Dr. Joy DeGruy speaks about like post-traumatic. I think it's called slave disorder or slave syndrome. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. And like again, people think slavery has ended. Slavery hasn't ended. It's just morphed into a
Changed its
different
face.
format. Yeah, it's just different format. So I definitely agree with that. Meetups with like-minded people, as you said, I think that's definitely something that we need to do. Again, you know, those WAPs and those non-WAPs need to segregate themselves into who's about what and different things. What's your second one? I can't remember. What's your second?
Invest in yourself.
Yeah, definitely people need to invest in themselves. Again, taking care of their health, especially mental health. That kind of ties into the first one as well. And then your last one about, financial, we say literacy and financial
Yeah,
education.
education. Yeah.
Yeah, so me personally, I'm a big advocate of Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics plan. And essentially, long story short, Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics plan is like a 5-story building where he says the ground floor, you start with economics. You take the economics to go to the first floor, which is politics. You use that money from your economics to then buy your politicians. You take those politicians from the first floor to then influence your police and court systems through government and legislation. Then from the police and court systems, you create your own. I feel like I'm missing one. Hold on. You create your own media, and your media allows you to communicate with your people and set your own narrative for your people. And then the fifth floor, the top floor, is education. And the reason why I said education is the last one because this whole narrative that we've got to get educated and black women are the most educated, and again these things don't improve our society because it goes back to ideology and agenda. What you get educated in, you're getting educated in a system of white supremacy. What you get educated for is to push forward the system of white supremacy. So the education comes last, because if you don't have an economy or a system to apply the education, the education is not going to benefit yourself. So again, so this is what we do with My Black Market, is basically organize the businesses to create a foundation, or an economic foundation, in order to kind of build this powernomic structure and this powernomic system. So in terms of solution, powernomics is definitely the thing that I kind of adhere to.
Fantastic. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. I just want to ask you, do you have any upcoming events?
Lockdown. That's the next coming. Not really, but we are going to be launching like a Black business growth program coming up soon. That's something that we're kind of working on. So we found like one of the main issues in the Black community is, you know, access to funding. And there's various reasons as to why we don't get access to funding, but we're essentially creating like an investment or a funding pipeline for our Black businesses to kind of get them into the shape where they can grow their business and then get access to this funding. Recently within the community, there's been a lot of, you know, Black-owned investment funds, and not only Black-owned funds that are kind of interested in investing in Black-owned founders as well. So we're kind of building out a platform, like with all of the resources that we have for Black businesses, in order to kind of carry them and put them in front of these investors to get investment in their business.
You got a website now?
Saying?
Your website up and running now?
Yeah, our website is up and running.
Okay.
We're going to be launching the program probably by the time this comes out. I don't know when this is coming out. The business growth program will be up and running. But yeah, you can check out our stuff at www.myblackmarket.uk.
Fantastic. And any Twitter handles?
Yeah, everything is My
Does
Black.
anyone still use Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Go on.
So everything is My Black Market UK. So we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Sensational. And yourselves, how can people get hold of you, sir?
Tubbs Official on Twitter.
Bloody hell, you just can't take these people anywhere. No.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, thank you thank you so much for today. It's been absolutely amazing. Golden nuggets have been dropped all at, like, even myself, I was learning so much. And I know when we have our conversations, we need to put half a day aside because we go in.
Go for hours. Yeah.
So it's nice to actually just bring this out into the forum so people can actually see what we can actually do. So no, most definitely. Thank you so much. Is there any parting words you want to leave for the fantastic viewers?
Black unity is a beautiful thing. You know, Black women, we need you and you need us.
Okay.
Yeah, I would second what he says. I just say, you know, thank you for having me on the podcast. You know, and just to iterate what you said, you know, people of like-minded should be getting together and, you know, pushing forward, especially in the kind of times that we're in now. It's about, you know, getting together with people. We don't know kind of a lot of uncertainty in the future. So I think that people should kind of just link up and, you know, work towards an agenda that benefits everybody. So, yeah.
Totally agree. So on that note, thank you very much, Mr. Lister. Thank you, Tubbs, for being here today. Everybody else, I want to say to you, stay true, stay humble, and thank you. Bye-bye.